America is home to dynasties so wealthy and powerful they remain hidden in plain sight. Beyond the Waltons and Kochs, there exists a family whose $80 billion empire stretches from defense contracts to Wall Street and luxury estates in Aspen. Even presidents, including Donald Trump, are said to approach them cautiously. Stay until the end, where we uncover how this dynasty quietly became the most untouchable power in America. The Koch family, America's shadow power brokers. The Koch family represents one of the most formidable yet least understood dynasties in the United States. With an estimated net worth of $68 billion, their influence stretches far beyond corporate profits into politics, culture, and everyday consumer life. At the center is Koch Industries, a conglomerate ranked among the largest privately held companies in the world, with revenues exceeding $125 billion annually. This immense scale allows the family to operate with the financial power of a nation-state while avoiding the shareholder scrutiny faced by publicly traded giants. The empire's reach is surprisingly close to ordinary households. Through its subsidiary, Georgia Pacific, the Koch manufacture familiar products such as Brawny paper towels, Dixie cups, and Angel soft toilet paper, items stocked in millions of homes. Yet behind these consumer goods lies a much broader portfolio: oil refineries, chemical plants, fertilizer production, and a sprawling pipeline network transporting energy across North America. Each sector generates billions in steady cash flow, giving the family financial muscle that few others can match. Beyond industry, the Koch family has invested staggering sums into shaping political outcomes. Reports suggest that over the past 2 decades, they have funneled billions of dollars into lobbying efforts, political action committees, and an intricate web of non-profit organizations. Their network of think tanks, including the Cato Institute and Americans for Prosperity, has been instrumental in influencing tax policy, deregulation, and climate legislation. The ability to quietly fund ideological infrastructure ensures that their economic interests are reinforced by long-term political shifts. What sets the Kochs apart is the discretion afforded by private ownership. Unlike the Walton family of Walmart or the Mars family of confectionery fame, the Kochs do not answer to shareholders, quarterly reports, or market analysts. This insulation gives them freedom to operate strategically, reinvest earnings, and deploy wealth with minimal transparency. Analysts argue this structure makes them nearly untouchable, allowing them to wield influence without the glare of public accountability. The combination of industrial power, consumer penetration, and political engineering has made the Koch family a dynasty whose reach rivals the most visible billionaires. Yet their greatest strength lies in invisibility. Most Americans use their products daily without realizing they are fueling one of the most influential fortunes in the nation. The Walton family, the retail overlords. The Walton family stands at the top of America's dynastic wealth, commanding a fortune estimated at over $250 billion. Their empire is anchored in Walmart, the retail giant that has reshaped consumer culture not only in the United States but across the globe. With more than 10,500 stores in 19 countries and $600 billion in annual revenue, Walmart generates more income each year than the GDP of countries like Sweden or Argentina. This staggering figure places the Waltons not just as retailers, but as overseers of a parallel economic system. The family's control of Walmart is distributed across descendants of Sam Walton, who founded the company in 1962. Today, siblings Rob, Jim, and Alice Walton each hold stakes worth tens of billions individually, making them some of the wealthiest people on the planet. Their combined influence extends into nearly every American household. Studies show that 90% of Americans live within 10 miles of a Walmart store. From groceries and clothing to electronics and pharmaceuticals, the Waltons control the supply chains that define daily consumption. The scale of this dominance comes at a cost. Walmart's rise has often been criticized for driving small businesses out of operation and reshaping labor markets. The company employs over 2.1 million workers worldwide, making it the largest private employer in the world. While the Walton heirs collectively earn dividends in the billions each year, employees have long protested low wages and limited benefits. The disparity between the family's fortune and the realities of the workforce has fueled political debates about inequality and corporate responsibility. Yet the Waltons have also invested heavily in cultural influence. Alice Walton, for example, founded the Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art in Arkansas, a project costing more than $150 million to build and filled with masterpieces by Andy Warhol, Norman Rockwell, and Georgia O'Keeffe. This cultural investment softens the image of a dynasty often associated with aggressive retail expansion, allowing the family to position itself as patrons of national heritage. Ultimately, the Walton's empire demonstrates how retail can evolve into infrastructure. By controlling price, supply, and scale on a level unmatched in history, the Walton family has turned Walmart into an economic superpower, one whose reach stretches into every community, shaping not only what people buy, but how entire societies organize around consumption. The Mars family, candy, pets, and absolute privacy. The Mars family is one of the most secretive dynasties in the world, yet their products are instantly recognizable. With an estimated fortune of $126 billion, they control an empire that spans from chocolate bars to veterinary hospitals. Their company, Mars Inc., remains entirely family-owned, a rarity in modern capitalism. This privacy allows them to build vast wealth while keeping their names out of the spotlight. The portfolio begins with candy. M&M's, Snickers, Twix, and Milky Way generate billions annually, placing Mars alongside global competitors like Nestle and Mondelez. Yet sweets are only part of the story. The family also dominates the pet industry, an empire worth even more. Through brands like Pedigree, Whiskas, Royal Canin, and Banfield Pet Hospitals, Mars Inc. has created a revenue stream estimated at over $20 billion a year. Analysts point out that this diversification has been key to the dynasty's enduring wealth. Chocolate may be indulgence, but pet care is necessity. Their headquarters in McLean, Virginia reflects their obsession with secrecy. The building operates more like a fortress than a corporate office, with limited access and no external branding to hint at the multi-billion-dollar empire inside. Employees often sign strict confidentiality agreements, and the family avoids media interviews. Unlike the Waltons or Kochs, you won't find the Mars heirs on magazine covers or political stages. Their power thrives precisely because they remain invisible. Philanthropy does exist, but true to their style, it is often cloaked in anonymity. Millions of dollars are funneled into sustainability initiatives, food security programs, and animal welfare charities without the Mars name attached. The family's preference for discretion has fueled intrigue, making them a dynasty defined as much by absence from the public eye as by their financial clout. This paradox, ubiquity without visibility, makes the Mars family one of the most fascinating billionaire dynasties. You can buy a Snickers bar for $1, take your dog to a Banfield clinic, or feed your cat Whiskas without realizing you are contributing to a fortune larger than the GDP of many nations. Do you think the Mars family's silence protects their empire or only makes their influence more mysterious? Comment "Secret Empire" if you believe their anonymity is their ultimate strategy. The Slim family, telecom's invisible hand. The Slim family, led by Carlos Slim Helú, represents one of the most powerful dynasties in the Western Hemisphere. With an estimated fortune of $95 billion, Slim has built an empire rooted not in luxury goods or retail, but in something far more essential: communication. His company, America Movil, controls the largest mobile network in Latin America, serving over 360 million subscribers across more than a dozen countries. Through subsidiaries like Telmex, he dominates landline and internet infrastructure in Mexico, creating a near monopoly on the very systems that connect people to the digital world. This control translates directly into wealth. Every phone call, data package, or internet subscription across vast regions of Latin America contributes to the Slim fortune. By owning the cables, towers, and satellites themselves, the family ensures recurring cash flow on a scale few industries can match. Analysts have compared his empire to owning the highways of the digital age. While others sell the cars, Slim charges the tolls. His financial reach goes beyond telecom. In 2009, at the height of the financial crisis, Carlos Slim invested $250 million into the New York Times, securing a substantial stake in one of the world's most influential media companies. This move not only generated profit as the paper recovered, but also reinforced his influence in global information networks. The family's cultural footprint is just as significant. The Museo Sumaya in Mexico City, named after Slim's late wife, houses a private art collection valued in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Inside are works by Rodin, Dali, and Diego Rivera, open to the public free of charge. For Slim, this institution blends philanthropy with prestige, cementing his image as both a patron of the arts and a guardian of national culture. Unlike dynasties known for opulent mansions or royal weddings, the Slim family maintains a relatively low-key personal lifestyle. Reports note that Slim has lived in the same Mexico City home for over 40 years, avoiding yachts and sprawling estates. His understated approach masks the reality of his dominance: ownership of the pipelines, satellites, and servers that keep modern economies functioning. Through essential infrastructure, strategic investments, and cultural influence, the Slim family exemplifies how control over necessity, not extravagance, creates a dynasty that is nearly untouchable. The Crown family, America's invisible empire. When people think of America's richest families, names like the Waltons or the Kochs dominate headlines. But one dynasty has quietly built a fortune so vast and influence so far-reaching that even presidents tread carefully. The Crown family of Chicago, with a collective net worth estimated at $80 billion, their empire is shielded from public scrutiny, spread across defense contracts, finance, and luxury real estate. The cornerstone of their wealth is a controlling stake in General Dynamics, one of the largest defense contractors in the United States. This single company brings in over $40 billion in annual revenue, supplying everything from nuclear submarines to fighter jets. Unlike public-facing billionaires, the Crowns keep their role discreet, allowing them to profit from Pentagon budgets without the political spotlight that often follows other wealthy dynasties. Beyond defense, the family has deep ties to JP Chase and other financial institutions, securing influence in America's largest banking networks. Their reach extends into culture and academia as well. The Aspen Institute, backed by Crown donations, has shaped global discussions on leadership and policy, while Northwestern University has received tens of millions from the family, funding medical research centers and elite business programs. These contributions are not just philanthropy, they are long-term investments in influence. Their lifestyle, while less publicized, is equally staggering. The Crown family owns prime estates in Aspen, Colorado, where properties are outfitted with biometric fencing, anti-drone defenses, and underground facilities designed for privacy and security. Some of these mountain compounds are valued at over $50 million each, transforming Aspen into both a retreat and a fortress. Unlike celebrities who flaunt yachts and jewelry, the Crowns live in a world where their luxury is designed to be invisible. Insiders in Washington whisper that even Donald Trump's administration approached Crown-length defense contracts with unusual caution. Few families in America hold such a combination of financial might, political reach, and cultural discretion. They have mastered the art of power without visibility, quietly shaping industries and institutions while avoiding the public eye. Do you think a dynasty like the Crowns, hidden behind corporations and foundations, wields more power than the billionaires we see on magazine covers? Comment Invisible Empire if you believe their silence is their greatest weapon. The Bettencourt family, beauty's silent royals. The Bettencourt family represents one of Europe's most enduring dynasties, their wealth built on a single global powerhouse, L'Oreal. With a net worth estimated at $92 billion, they have transformed cosmetics into a vehicle of dynastic power, extending their reach across more than 150 countries. From drugstore staples to luxury skincare lines, L'Oreal brands influence billions of daily routines, making the Bettencourts silent participants in the global beauty industry. At the head of the family stands Françoise Bettencourt Myers, recognized as the richest woman in the world. Her personal fortune surpasses $90 billion, largely derived from her family's controlling stake in L'Oreal. Unlike other billionaires who seek the spotlight, Myers is famously discreet, rarely giving interviews and often avoiding public events. Yet her influence is undeniable. Under her leadership, L'Oreal has expanded into biotech-driven skincare and pharmaceutical cosmetics, industries projected to generate tens of billions in revenue over the next decade. The family's fortune is not limited to cosmetics. Their art collection is one of the most valuable in Europe, worth hundreds of millions, and including works by masters such as Picasso, Matisse, and Warhol. These collections are housed in private estates and occasionally loaned to museums, serving as both cultural capital and financial assets that appreciate over time. In addition, the Bettencourt family was one of the largest private donors to the restoration of Notre Dame Cathedral after the 2019 fire, pledging $226 million toward its reconstruction. Their wealth has also been shadowed by controversy. The Bettencourt affair of 2010 revealed allegations of political influence, offshore accounts, and questionable tax practices. While the scandal tarnished the family name briefly, it also underscored the extraordinary power that comes with their resources, enough to attract the attention of France's political elite. Today, the Bettencourts maintain control of their empire through Tétis Invest, the holding company that manages their vast portfolio. This vehicle allows them to strategically invest in luxury, biotech, and sustainability ventures, ensuring that the family fortune continues to grow quietly behind closed doors. The Bettencourt family demonstrates how beauty, often dismissed as surface level, can be leveraged into dynastic influence. Through cosmetics, art, and philanthropy, they have built a legacy that extends into politics, culture, and global markets. Proof that silent power can be just as formidable as public wealth. The Ambani family, Asia's vertical Versailles. The Ambani family embodies a level of wealth and spectacle that has redefined what dynastic power looks like in Asia. At the center is Mukesh Ambani, whose net worth is estimated at $115 billion, making him one of the wealthiest men on the planet. His empire, Reliance Industries, is valued at more than $85 billion and stretches across energy, petrochemicals, retail, digital services, and now green hydrogen, an industry projected to generate trillions globally in the decades ahead. Their most visible symbol of wealth is Antilia, the family's private residence in Mumbai. Valued at an astonishing $2 billion, this 27-story skyscraper mansion is one of the most expensive homes ever built. Antilia includes 3 rooftop helipads, a ballroom with crystal chandeliers worth millions, and a snow room that generates artificial ice despite India's tropical heat. The property also has a multi-level garage capable of holding 160 cars, ensuring that brands like Rolls-Royce, Bentley, and Maybach are parked side by side. Staffed by more than 600 employees, the mansion functions less like a residence and more like a private kingdom suspended above Mumbai. But the Ambanis are just as famous for their lavish celebrations. In 2018, the wedding of Isha Ambani, Mukesh's daughter, reportedly cost over $100 million. The event featured performances by Beyoncé and appearances from global figures including Hillary Clinton and Ariana Huffington. In 2023, the pre-wedding festivities of Anant Ambani drew Coldplay and Rihanna, with total expenditures rumored to approach $200 million. These events were not merely family milestones, they were global spectacles, reinforcing the Ambani's status as cultural icons and soft power brokers. Strategic investments further secure their influence. Through geo platforms, Reliance has reshaped India's digital economy, drawing over 400 million subscribers and attracting partnerships with Google and Facebook. Retail subsidiaries dominate India's consumer markets with revenue in the tens of billions annually. Beyond profits, these ventures anchor the family into the fabric of daily life for hundreds of millions of Indians. The Ambani family demonstrates how scale itself becomes a form of soft power. By combining corporate dominance, cultural spectacle, and architectural grandeur, they have crafted an identity that is both economic and symbolic, making them one of the most formidable dynasties in modern history. The invisible dynasties of America. When Americans think of wealth, headlines usually point to tech titans like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, but the true dynasties shaping the nation often remain in the shadows. Families such as the Crowns, Waltons, Kochs, and Mars have built empires worth hundreds of billions of dollars, operating with a combination of discretion and dominance that makes them far harder to challenge than celebrity billionaires. Consider the Walton family, whose $250 billion fortune is anchored in Walmart. With $600 billion in annual revenue and more than 10,500 stores worldwide, their retail network controls how hundreds of millions of people shop. Or the Koch family, whose privately held conglomerate, Koch Industries, generates $125 billion annually by producing the very materials that power homes, fertilize crops, and stock shelves. Unlike public corporations, their private structure allows them to avoid shareholder scrutiny, ensuring unmatched strategic freedom. The Mars family, worth an estimated $126 billion, wields power through products as simple as candy bars and as essential as pet care. Their brands, M&M's, Snickers, Pedigree, Royal Canin, create recurring revenues in the tens of billions every year. Their headquarters in Virginia operates like a fortress, mirroring the family's obsession with anonymity. And then there's the Crown family, with $80 billion in assets tied to defense giant General Dynamics and luxury real estate in Aspen, where compounds are valued at $50 million each and outfitted with biometric security. What binds these dynasties together is not their visibility, but their infrastructure. While entertainers and tech moguls dominate headlines, the silent dynasties control what people cannot live without: energy, food, defense, finance, and retail. Presidents from Donald Trump to Joe Biden have had to navigate policies with these families in mind, proving that political leaders are temporary, but dynastic wealth is enduring. This is the paradox of American power. The most influential families are often the least discussed. Their strength lies not in the spotlight, but in silence, shaping industries and even political agendas without stepping onto a public stage. Do you think these invisible dynasties hold more power than the billionaires constantly in the news? Comment hidden power if you believe the families behind America's infrastructure are the real architects of influence. From defense giants like General Dynamics to financial networks tied to JP Morgan, from Aspen compounds worth $50 million each to cultural strongholds like the Aspen Institute, this family has perfected the art of invisible power. Their influence reaches politics, finance, and academia, yet their names rarely appear in headlines. That silence is their shield and their greatest strength. If you found this deep dive into America's hidden billionaires compelling, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Billionaire Secret, and turn on notifications for more untold stories of global dynasties.